Hey, what's up, everybody? We're back with another Motivation Monday. Today, I have a very special guest, a young man I got to coach, and I got to coach alongside. Very unique perspective because my first year here coaching at Hinsdale South, shout out DJ King for getting me my first coaching job. I met a young man named Anthony Montez, and my first impression of Anthony, who's sitting right next to me, is, man, this is a hardworking young man. He's got a lot of anger and pain behind his hard work, but man, just an absolutely great football player. And I've watched this young man reach the level of emotional maturity that is exactly what you want to see out of young men these days. And I think football is an excellent avenue to channel aggression, to channel obviously just loss, to get your anger out, so to speak, in a healthy way where you're not going to be locked up and put in prison like a lot of these kids on the streets. But after he graduated from Hinsdale South High School, which is where we're at, he went on to play at North Park College over on the north side of the city. And he battled with a lot of injuries. So I'm going to go ahead and say that he medically retired after his freshman season at North Park. And he could agree, disagree. But now he's into the trades. He does work in showers. But he also coached here at Hinsdale South, so it was a really unique experience because as a young coach myself, I never got to coach somebody, then coach alongside somebody. And whatever Anthony Montez does in life, he excels at because he's just gifted. He's a hard worker. So Tez, Anthony, welcome to the Motivation Monday, man. You could talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Man, do you have any questions to start off with?
Yeah, man, here we could go right into these questions. So the first question I wrote down for you was, how has football helped shape your life? Talk about the importance of the sport of football.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it a little bit during the introduction. As far as my, emotions and pain, football played a big role in my life as far as helping me channel my emotions and pain. At a very young age, I, experienced a lot of trauma, lost an aunt, my grandma, my father, cousins, multiple aunts, other grandmas, whatever you want to call it, whoever it may be. I experienced a lot of trauma at a young age. Growing up, I was a multi-sport athlete, football, baseball, basketball. And football is the one sport that, helped me get away from things, whether it was, things going on at home or, things going on at school or, friends, family, whatever the case may be. Football helped me, get through a lot of that. And, it played a big part of my life because it was, football was a sport, a love I shared with my father, who passed away when I was 15 years old. So when I lost my father, football football didn't really feel like it was for me anymore. It felt like I lost that love for it. And then, I told myself I wanted to quit, because it felt like I had no more love for the game. But I told myself, you know what, I'll play the rest of the season, finish the season out, try to, come up on top, keep my head up. And by the end of that season, I learned, and football helped me learn, that I need to keep my father passing was exactly why I had to keep playing. And I know there's a lot of kids out there, maybe even adults, that are, playing a sport. You can be, 10 years old, 20 years old, you can be in the NFL. I know there's a lot of people, and not just football, a lot of sports. I know there's a lot of people that, and I know this because I've talked to people about it. There's a lot of people that one of their main connections with a sport is a parent or a sibling or a family member or a friend. And I've talked to a lot of people who have lost, a parent, friend, family member, whatever it may be, and they've, experienced kind of the same thing I did, to where, they lose that person. It's like they tell themselves, which is what I tell myself, like, why am I even still playing this? Like, the one person in this world I, shared the love of the game with is gone. And it's kind of like, you just tell yourself like this isn't for me anymore just because that one person's gone. It's you kind of lose, you just lose the love for it, a certain type of love for the game. But like I was saying, whether you're 10 years old, you're an adult, you just gotta remind yourself that you're not just playing for yourself, which is something I struggle with my whole life. I'm not ashamed to admit, or I'll humbly admit that there was some days, a lot of days, whether it may be practices, games, where I was kind of playing for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time of when my father passed, I was definitely playing for myself because I was just so cut off from the world, cut off from family, friends, giving my mom a hard time. And I had to remind myself that I'm not just playing for myself. I'm still playing for that loved one that I lost. I'm still playing for my mother. I'm still playing for my brothers. I'm still playing, for cousins, aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, whoever's face I could put a smile on. And, I had to, and it's not easy, it's hard, but I had to remind myself, every day I woke up like, oh, I don't want to play this sport anymore. There's no point, no point of playing it, whatever. But I just had to remind myself, like, I'm not just playing for myself. I'm playing for bigger and better things than me. Yeah.
No, that's good. I think as when you're young and a parent dies, like, so my best friend, who was the best man at my wedding, shout out Ken, he lost his mom at breast cancer when he was 16 years old, sophomore year. I'll never forget, the phone call he gave me that night. And as a young man, it's really hard to process death, let alone the death of a parent. Do you feel that playing football helped with that in any way? And the second question I have with that is, losing your father, did you find any solace with the discipline that comes with football as well? Because when I think of, great dads, I think of the discipline aspect. There's your mom, and for the most part, your mom is the loving, nurturing one, and your dad is the disciplinary. So if you're missing one of those, which is why I love working with ball players a lot, being a coach, is because a lot of guys who play football, usually, a lot of them grow up in single household, families where their dad's alive, but he just ain't around.
Yeah.
He up and dipped on them. Your situation was different, but do you feel that football not filled a void, because there's nothing that could ever fill a void of losing somebody, but do you feel that helped you now as you're a young adult with the discipline aspect of, like, man, I might not want to go to work today, but let's go. This is what we do. I don't sleep in and miss this job because, this is what I do. Do you feel like football helped form that a little bit in you?
Yeah, for sure. To answer the first part, yeah, my dad passing, like, all that pain it caused, football definitely did help. That was kind of the only thing when I was finishing out that season that helped me at the time get through that season. When I was thinking about quitting, was just all that pain I had. There was, and I wouldn't even think of it as like, oh, I'm gonna show up to practice or a game today and put all my pain out on the field, or let all my emotion out, get it all out. I wake up in the morning like, I don't want to do this. I'm sad. I'm depressed, whatever it may be. And then it kind of just happened. It came out of me, like, on the field, like, I was just in my natural element, doing what I at the time, not what I love, but, what I had to help myself realize, doing what I love. And just, I like to think I was a naturally aggressive player before my father passed, before any other family member passed.
That goes without saying.
And that's not even just from, people passing away. That was just from, life growing up. The household I had, it wasn't a bad household. My mom's a great mom.
Yeah, she is.
Great mother. She does still to this day. She works. She works almost 7 days a week. She gives it her all. But it's just just seeing certain struggles and going to school with other kids, or having friends that you might not see have those
Right.
same struggles, especially at a young age. It's like, you just ask yourself why. You know what I mean? It's like, why is this happening to me? Why is this my life? Why do I have to worry about how much money I spend? Why do I have to worry about, how I carry myself?
Right.
Why do I have to worry about, how I'm, perceived by other people? That's what I feel like first kind of started my, what my natural aggressiveness was on the field. But when I did lose my father, that's when it really like became not became a problem, but became noticeable. Noticeable by uh, teammates, coaches. I mean, after I lost my father, I don't know if coaches or players realized why I was so much more aggressive and all that good stuff on the field. But that's why it just came out like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just like, I mean, even I didn't recognize it, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I was just playing and letting out my pain.
Yeah.
And coaches and teammates, Montez is, playing so much more aggressive this year. Love to see it, blah blah. And they're telling me this, and I'm not thinking in my head what's going on. I'm playing the game, that I've been playing since I was 5 years old.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, losing my father definitely, was, football was definitely a way for me to let all that out. What was the second question?
Shoot. What was the second question? You answered that so well.
About just as far as like with the discipline of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
household
yeah.
and
Like
all that.
how it's like
Yeah,
carried over to
so
like your life now.
yeah, I'll be honest, my mom was my disciplinary. My dad, he was a great guy. I loved him to death. I now that I'm older, I realize, they say you'll realize, you'll learn when you're older, you'll realize things when you're older. That's what your parents tell you.
Yeah, man.
As a young kid, the way my mom described things never really made sense. So my dad was always, he was my superhero. He was biggest guy in the world. I'm sure that's how it is. That's how it is for
Yep.
every young man on this planet. Their fathers are they're their superheroes. But he was not. He was in and out of my life. My whole life growing up. My parents split up when I was 2 years old. Just nothing bad or nothing crazy. Just arguing too much, to my understanding. So losing him, I didn't really lose any discipline per se.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit, but my mom was my disciplinary. My mom and my uncle.
Gotcha.
But my mom, yeah, she had to be, my mother and my dad. You
Right.
know what I mean? Which is, I'm sure how it is, most households, single parent, single mother households. So I kind of always had that discipline. I never really lost it when I lost my father, just because my mom, like I said, was my disciplinary. She's tough on me, and I love her for it, because if she was too soft on me, or, too loving, or, too careful with me, then I wouldn't, have accomplished, the things that I have accomplished in life.
Yeah.
As far as, playing sports and graduating high school, going off to college for a year or two.
Yeah.
Working, whatever, working hard, being a hard worker, being disciplined. Like, without her, none of it really would have been, I wouldn't be who I am without her. I will say though, like, the time in my life that my father was in my life, he definitely was a disciplinary. Which now that I'm older, I appreciate a lot more than I did when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I was kind of looking at it like, who is this guy to, just show up and kind of be hard on me and, be tough on me and, yell at me after games, or, give me hard, tough criticism after
Yeah.
games or before games, practices, whatever it may be. At a young age, like I was saying before, like you don't understand until you get older. You don't really comprehend what's going on until you get older. But yeah, at a young age, I was just like, who does this, who is he to think he can talk to
Yeah.
me like this or say certain things? And now that I'm older, it's like, I get it. I understand, like, yeah, he might have been out of my life for a certain period of time, but when he was in my life, he was making the time count. I wish he was in my life, for longer periods of times when he was alive.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wish, he was alive so he could, be more involved in my life now that I'm older. I think, I give all credit to my mother. She's a wonderful woman, she's a beautiful woman, wonderful heart.
Dude, I'll never forget when we was at the Baked Apple that one time.
Yeah,
It was
at her
for the
job.
coaches meeting. Yeah, dude, it was me, Matt King, DJ King,
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
Dude, and she just served us, man. She's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Like I knew instantly. I was like, oh man, Montez's mom. She's just a great person, kind person.
She's got a sweet soul, man.
She does. She really does. Shout out.
Anyone that's ever met her, whether it's friends or coaches.
Yeah.
They all say the same thing. She's a wonderful woman, and and I was actually just talking to my girlfriend about this not too long ago, because I had got into a little bit of an argument with my mom, and I was questioning, like, I was like, and I know why, but I just, in the heat of the moment, I'm just questioning, like, why is she so tough on me? Why is she so tough on me? And I have to remind myself to understand, like, she is my mother and my father at the same time, no matter how old I get, especially now that my father's not, here anymore. She's always going to be that disciplinary and that soft soul and, just both sides of it. But yeah, man, all credit to my mom, man. She's a great person.
At the end of the day, she just wants the best for you. And sometimes it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking the same thing. I was blessed enough that growing up, my dad took on some coaching roles, and he was so hard on me, and it would piss me off so much. I'm like, God, dog. And as a kid, you think you know everything and you know nothing. Yeah. So it's like, man, like, why is he like, why isn't he like this with other players? Like, and this was my thinking. I'm one of the best players on the team. Like, what the heck is going on here? Right. But he cared, and it was like his way of showing he cared. Yeah. And me, I'm thinking, man, if he cared, like, he'd sing my praises. And no, like, that's not what a good father, good parent corrects you. Sometimes it's hard correction because you need it, because we're punks and stubborn and we deserve it. And sometimes it's not hard correction. I think it's funny because I had a conversation with my wife. We was walking around this lake one time. She's like, man, when we're kids, we're so hard on our parents, but we got to understand that they've never been a parent before. Like, no one prepares you. I have people, a lot of my friends now, getting in their late 20s or having kids, getting married now. And I have a conversation. One of my buddies had a conversation with him. I'm like, dude, is it weird being a dad? He's got a 2-month-old. And he's like, bro, it doesn't even seem real. Your wife just gives birth and the nurse is like, here you go, Dad. Yeah, and you're like, I haven't held a baby before. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, my older cousin just had his daughter back in November, a couple months ago. And, he's only 23 years old, or just turned 24. And we were just talking about it on Sunday. We were over there. I was just asking him questions, man, because I definitely want kids. I think that's like the one thing in this world I can't wait for, is to just give the kids the life, I might not have had, things I might not have had, and to not let them see the struggles that, I might have seen my mom or my dad having, and just to give back, almost just kind of like from like a learning moment, what I mean? Like, just,
You want it better for your kids than what you had growing up, and that's not a slight at your parents at all.
At all.
I think of the same, because I'm very blessed. Both my parents are still around. They're both great people, and I don't want to offend, but it's like, I know I'm going to make mistakes as a dad. I've already made mistakes. I've been married for 2 months as a husband. So, but my thing is, it's the same thing. I have a desire to have kids, and I want to take a lot of what I learned, the good, and then add in, like, how can we make this, better? How do we find this balance? And it's easy to say, not having a kid, but God willing, when Kelly and I do, I'm sure I'll look at that little thing like, oh man, this is real. Actually, it's funny because I have a 2-year-old niece.
Yeah,
and
I remember you telling me.
I was watching her when she was only a few months old, and literally, she went to the bathroom in her diaper, and I didn't know how to change a diaper. I'm like, oh man, shout out YouTube, YouTube tutorial, how to change a baby's diaper. 5-minute video. This gentleman's on there, bro. I'm following the steps. My poor little niece is crying up there. But it's like,
Oh, man.
I didn't learn that anywhere.
Right.
So it's like, what do I do? And I am. I'm 26 years old doing this. I'm a grown adult. I'm like, dude, what do I do? Like, how do I grab her legs? Like, she's completely dependent on me. And the thing is, it's like, there's a quote, actually from a song I like, from a movie I like, but it's like, how can you learn what's never shown? Like, I was never shown how to change a diaper,
Right.
or like how to do it. So like, even something as a simple task like that, which it is simple, you just follow steps, clean them, you change a girl a little differently how you change a boy. I don't need to elaborate on that, with different parts, but, and now I had it in the bag, but it's like, that just showed me like, oh, sweet, now I have experience. Like, I feel like it was a test run. Like, okay, cool, I got a niece. Now I know how to do it for my future kids. Yeah. But like, just giving that grace to your parents, because as a kid, like you said, you look up to them like they're infallible humans, they're superheroes. They make mistakes too. And we're so hard on them as kids. And I actually kind of feel bad for how I acted as a kid towards my parents sometimes, because I'm like, hey, listen, it was their first time raising kids too. Nothing can prepare you to have a parent. You could buy a dog. Me and my girl could buy a dog, but shoot, I mean,
you're never a parent till you're a parent.
You're a parent. You're never. I was nervous to get married. You're never a husband till you're a husband. It's like, dude, what am I doing? Like, I was going through marriage counseling and stuff, and I'm like, and there was all that doubt that crept in. Like, am I ready for this? Like, what am I doing? People, oh, why you getting married? You're too young. It's like, nah, man. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm supposed to be, because you're gonna have voices pulling you this and that way. I got another question. We're gonna kind of pivot. We got deep right off the bat, but what do you think the biggest difference was between being a player, whether it was a high school / collegiate player? And I don't want to downplay, like, whether you play 1 year college, 2 years, 4 years, go on to play. It's 7% play any level of college football. I think it's around 7% from high school to D3, D2, D1, JUCO, NAIA.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely experience. Not too many people get to.
No, it's very slim. So I don't want to, down credit that at all whatsoever. But what was the biggest difference between, because you got to play at Hinsdale South and you came back and coached, and you were on the staff the first year with DJ King, Matt King, myself. DJ was the head coach. What do you think was some differences between being a player and being a coach that really stuck out to you?
Personally, one thing I did really enjoy was, as far as difference, was just seeing the field and the game as a coach. When you're a player, you kind of, you still use your football IQ,
right?
You strategize, whatever, but you also have to go out there and physically do it. As a coach, you get the time to sit there and really see what's going on and really understand the game better and learn new things. I mean, as soon as I stopped playing football in college, my freshman year, right when I stopped playing, I came straight here and started coaching in the summer 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the first week I learned so much about football that I never really, certain things I did know, but never really got the full understanding of. You know what I mean? Kind of like, as far as a player, if you're on defense, you're in a cover 3 defense. Your assignment. If I played outside linebacker on defense, your assignment. And it's kind of like, I do this, do that, make sure this doesn't happen. And, they kind of teach you, coaches kind of teach you as a player, hey, do your job individually. And they tell that to every player, and, everything just works together as a whole. You know what I mean? But as a coach, you kind of have to learn almost every position,
right?
Just to understand, okay, if you could be a position coach, but I need to know if my linebacker's going here, where's the safety,
right?
Going? Where's the safety doing?
Yeah.
So that was a big difference. I took away from the as far as being a player to a coach, it was just understanding and learning the game on a different level.
Yeah.
If I had to take away any other differences, if I I don't know. I think that's like just the biggest thing that like really stuck with me was because especially, I'm young. I started coaching when I had just turned 19. So I was really trying to learn everything I'm coming from a college, team. You play with college kids, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds,
Right.
25-year-olds, grown men. And now I'm coming back to, coach, 16-year-olds. So I had to almost slow the game down a little bit for myself and really understand it. And to also another difference I would say is a little less selfishness.
Okay. Yeah.
As a player, as I was saying before, I played a little selfish. I practiced a little selfish. But as a player, I don't want to say you play selfish, but you play a little selfish in a sense as far as just kind of, doing your job.
Right.
But when you become a coach, you have to be, all in. You gotta know how to talk to the kids. You gotta know how to be there for the kids. You gotta know how to understand the kids. You gotta know how to, talk to coaches now that you're one of them.
Yep.
How to, speak your truth with coaches now that you're a coach.
Right.
How to, pretty much all the same things you do for players, or do with teammates now with coaches.
Yeah, I think it's funny because it's you get a lot of the lingo, and I want to go back. What made you hang the cleats up at North Park? And
Yeah.
because I feel like this is one of the hardest things to do. I think it's hard for any sport, but it's particularly tough for football, I think. I think when football players, I mean, even guys that retire in the NFL, it's like they're done playing, and then it's like, well, now freaking what? When you dedicate a big chunk of your life, and even if you only play, high school football, and you don't even play any Pee Wee, that's still 4 years of your life, and there's a lot that goes into football. I think one of the unique things is like baseball, you have a few games a week, a few practices. Basketball, you have a few games a week. Football, you play once a week and a bye week. So, that season is short in terms of games versus practice. You practice a lot more than you play in the sport of football.
Right.
So, and to be honest, before I found my faith in God, football was almost my God. We went through a lot of injuries as a player. Out of the last 21 games in my college career, my junior and senior year, I played in 5 because I was hurt. I played in 1 game my senior year of college because of injury. So deciding to hang the cleats up is like tough. And then it's like, well, now what? What fills that void?
Yeah.
So what went into that decision making? When was it like, okay, yes, this is the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And where was your mind at after making that decision?
Yeah, for sure. I will say it was really a tough decision because, like you said, it's you go your whole life. Me personally, I had been playing tackle football from the age of 5 every year until I was 18, 19 years old. So all the way through high school, 1 year of college. It was definitely a hard decision. Not a decision I made lightly. I couldn't even name the number of people I talked to when I was in the thought process of, like you said, hanging up the cleats. When I was in the thought process of it, there was bunch of people, family, friends, teammates, coaches, that I talked to just to kind of just see where my head was at, to get help and see where my head was. The main reason why I stopped playing was because of injuries. When I was playing in high school,
that's why I called it medically retired.
Yeah. When I was playing,
make that clear. That happens.
When I was playing in high school, my freshman year, I messed my right shoulder up. I used to play baseball as well, so I was a pitcher, so just from pitching, and then I also played quarterback, so it was just a lot on my shoulder. I messed my right shoulder up, and then that was freshman year, and then junior year, dislocated my left shoulder, tore my labrum pretty bad. Then I messed, my hamstrings up, my knees were a little bad, whatever. And then when I got to college, I messed my what's it called?
Hip flexor?
Hip flexor up, yeah. Messed my hip flexor up. And then I took I took a really bad hit during a game. Just me and this guy went head to head. I was on the ground for like 30 seconds and I couldn't move, and it scared the crap out of me, man.
Right.
It really did frighten me. You know, like I said, I've been playing my whole life and I never like felt something like that before. I never, you know, and don't get me wrong, the guy didn't run me over. You know,
Yeah, let's
don't
make it
start
clear.
thinking that, whoever's watching, don't start. You
Hey.
know, it was an equal hit. And I was kidding. Yeah, no, it was a bad hit. It kind of shook me up a little bit, and you know, kind of had me thinking like, you know, I've been playing, you know, this game my whole life, and you know, all these injuries, it's doing nothing for me. You know, I took the time, especially in college, high school not as much, but college, I took the time to really like, you know, try to get my body right, and my body wasn't really getting to where I wanted it to be, especially at that level. When you're playing with, you know, college players, you know, it's
Yeah.
way more aggressive than high school. Obviously, you know,
Oh,
take
yeah.
harder hits. You know, you're got guys running faster than you. You know, you're trying to, you're really, you know, putting your whole body on the line. And my body just wasn't getting to where I needed it to be, where I wanted it to be. So it was, injuries was probably the main reason. Another reason was being away from my mom was hard for me, and not like in a homesick sense. Just more so, my mom is a single mother who, like I said earlier, works almost 7 days a week sometimes. You know, she works, you know, crazy hours, and she just needs my help. And the thought of me being, you know, I wasn't far, but the thought of me being away from her and knowing that she was, you know, struggling, you know, Sunday, you know, through Saturday,
Right.
by herself, as, you know, my mom's young, but at her age, you know, she's 43 years old.
Uh-huh.
At the time, she was about 40, 41 years old. But at my mom's age, you know, she works, you know, harder than a lot of, you know, other moms or women might, you know, in this world.
Men.
Yeah,
Works harder than a lot of men
harder than a lot of
work.
men might in this world. And, you know, like I said before, she's definitely one of the most hardworking people I've, you know, ever, you know, seen in my life. But just knowing that I was the only man in her life, the only, you know, her only outlet for help, you know, whether it's to, you know, do the dishes, take the trash out, you know, help her get ready for work. You know, my mom's got some back problems, that she, you know, she's had a couple back surgeries, and she's still working almost 7 days a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So knowing that she's going through that, and I'm, you know, off somewhere where I'm not even, you know, kind of at my best, knowing that I could be home helping her kind of also shook me a little bit. Because like I said, you know, pretty much been me and my mom my whole life. So being away from her, knowing that she's struggling a little bit, was hard for me. I didn't take it lightly at all. I mean, you know, a lot of kids, especially nowadays, the way the world is, they can't wait to get away from home, get to college, whether it, you know, be for a sport or just, you know, to go party or whatever they want to do. You know, a lot of kids can't wait to get away. You know, that was all my friends. You know, all my friends were having a great time at school. You know, even if they were or weren't in a sport, they were having a great time. And I'm like, why am I like not having as good of a time as my other friends that are playing, you know, college sports or just in college to go to school? And I really had to break it down, what was making me feel that way. And it took me a couple weeks, and I was like, it's my mom, knowing that she's at home, you know, by herself, taking care of herself, a dog, a cat we have, you know, dishes, trash,
Right.
moving furniture, all that good stuff. There's, you know, it was hard for me mentally, especially, like I said, you know, me not being physically where I wanted to be at as far as being a football player in college.
Right.
Just really hard. But yeah, those are the two reasons: injuries and my mom. You know, my
Okay.
mom's my world, so knowing that she was struggling a little bit, and you know, just like all parents do, they try to hide their struggles and
Of course.
emotions and pain from their children. But
They care about us
which
more than
my
they
mom,
care about themselves
which my mom
usually.
did.
Right.
You know, she tried to hide it a little bit, but my mom was also, and my whole life has also been very open about, you know, struggles and pain and emotion, and, you know, whether it may be, you know, money or, her, physical well-being, whatever it may be. She's always been pretty open about it. So it wasn't like it was, she was hiding it from me. Like I knew she was at home struggling without me. So I kind of told myself like, I can be at home. I need to be home with her. And it was hard, and it's almost kind of like, in a sense, I was not doubting, but not really wanting to go home.
Right.
It was a little selfish. But I just, like I said, after a few weeks, I really broke it down. I was like, no, my mom needs me. And she knows it, it's not like I hid it from her. Like I didn't tell her that I, knew she was struggling, that I wanted to be home to help her out. I told her because she would tell me, every other day, hey, like, yeah, I got work today. I don't want to go to work. My back hurts. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? I mean, everything in this world costs money, and she's just, like I said, working 6 to 7 days a week, and, she's 43 years old now. And it's just like, I just knew I had to be home with her. So yeah, that was.
You feel like that was the right decision now, sitting here?
I do.
Good. That's what matters most.
Yeah, I try not to live with too many regrets.
Right.
Good. I like to think there's a plan for me. I like to think I will have a place in this world.
You do have a place in this world,
yeah.
not will. Do. Do is current.
I don't know what that place may be yet. I like to still think I'm young. I'm 21.
You're a puppy, man.
I like
to still think I'm young. 21. Listen, it's why I always say, God willing, I get to the age of 80, 90, then I'm going to say I'm old. God willing, I get to 80, I'm a young man still, straight up. Man, listen, I'm not going to act old. I'm not going to walk old. I'm not going to, I'll be in the 80 years old. Like, what's up? Like, I'm here, So I think, no, you are young. You're 21 years old. The world is your oyster. And that leads into my next question.
Yes, sir.
What is next for Anthony Montez? And you don't have to divulge too much information, because fact of the matter is you can have some stuff that you're like, man, I don't really want to tell people this plan yet till it's executed. But what is next on the docket for you, man? Because you can do anything at 21, shoot.
As far as big things go, bigger parts of my life, right now, just kind of working out what career best fits me. Like Connor said in the beginning of the video, I remodel bathrooms, install in bathrooms, showers most of the time. That's what I'm doing right now, so sort of a trade job.
And can I cut you off real quick? College is not the only option.
No, it's
not. A lot of these degrees we get, truth be told, are worthless. Guys, the trades, excellent option.
It's
plumbers, HVAC, carpentry, and without that stuff, all the stuff you see in your house doesn't exist. Yeah. It's not even there.
I'll say straying away from college and getting into the trades was a little tough for me, just because I was always brought up to believe that I had to be in college, because not too many people in my family went to college. The ones that did, only a few graduated. So I was always kind of taught and raised to believe that the only thing I could do in this world was, go to college and get a degree and get a job for, whatever it may be. Just because, Anthony's got to be the college football player. He's got to graduate from college. He's, the one in the family that'll do this, do that, all that good stuff. So it was definitely hard straying away from college, because you automatically kind of know that, like, if you're not in college, you're going to get into some type of trade, especially as a man. But, so you kind of know, but for me, it was a hard pill to swallow, because like I said, I was raised to believe that I had to go to college. I had to get this degree. I had to, play football in college and all that. But right now, so just I'm doing the bathroom stuff. I don't know if it'll be a lifelong thing. I do see myself being in some type of trade. I don't know if it'll be, what I'm doing now. It could be anything, any other trade. But right now, yeah, kind of just figuring out what's best for me as far as work. And yeah.
Well, keep it going, man, because even in doing these different trades, because you said you did HVAC before, right? So
Yeah, a little bit of,
you're
yeah.
getting very valuable, marketable skills. And like I said, with the people talk about job insecurity all the time. People talk about, oh man, is my job even going to exist? The trades are always going to be needed. You're
Yeah.
always going to need electricians. You're always
Yeah.
going to need carpenters. You're always going to need plumbers. Like that is gonna stay. So, and doing something like that, is invaluable, and it's useful, and you get to help people. You truly get to make a difference in the trades. I have so much respect for people who are in a trade. Like I said, to be completely blunt, if I didn't play college football, dude, college wasn't for me. I couldn't stay in school
Yeah.
from the time of kindergarten after we learned the colors and the animals to even college. And I'll be honest, like I did what I could in college, and I don't endorse what I'm saying right now. But this is just the reality. I made the dean's list because I met Kelly, this beautiful woman I married, and it's called outsourcing. I outsourced my work, so I made the dean's list my senior year because I had a good partner to help me. I was of the mindset that C's get degrees, which they,
That's awesome, man.
technically kind of do, but that's not to detract too much. But I might get some backlash for that. But hey, this whole Motivation Monday, this thing is to get different perspectives on here. It's to get different avenues to show you that college is not the only way you can make something of yourself and be a success. It's not a one-size-fits-all type of things, because I know a lot of people in the trades that, one, love what they do, two, love the hard work, because trades, it's hard work.
It is.
A lot of it's manual labor. But a lot of people that start in the trades, they do it for years, and then they build their own business through that, and they see that through. So I could see that for you,
Yeah,
in the next.
that's definitely the
many
plan.
years.
Like I said, I don't know what trade is end game for me yet, but definitely, like you said, just getting my own business out of it, being able to own my own business, whenever it may be, is definitely a big goal, big takeaway that I'd really love for that to happen in my life. So yeah.
Sure, we'll think of a name for your business in the future. But anything else, man, to end this off, you want to leave whoever's going to watch this with?
Mom, I love you. I know I'll be watching this with you. I told you before, we watch all your videos
Appreciate
together.
that, man. Thank you.
My wonderful, beautiful girlfriend, who I haven't seen in so long because she's out of town right now. I miss her a lot. I love you. Can't wait to see you. Big shout out to you for sure for having me on. I couldn't wait to get on here. Just seeing the videos and the things people were talking about, it truly is motivational.
Appreciate that, man.
It really does take a lot for a man to be honest and truthful about the things they've gone through, things they've experienced, their feelings, emotions. I know firsthand it takes a lot. So these videos I watch every single one. I watch every single second, take away as much as I can. So definitely a big shout out to you for having me on here.
Yeah, man.
Another big shout out to DJ King, of course.
Shout out DJ King. Apply pressure.
Yes,
we
sir.
love you, dog.
Yes, sir. Love him. He's like a big brother to me. So are you, of course.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, DJ's like a big brother to me. These past few years, coaching with him and you as well. He's helped me through a lot.
Yep.
I've never had an older brother or a brother at all. I'm an only child. So I've never had really, a young man to talk to things about. I was raised by a woman, besides my uncle. But yeah, I was raised by women, so I never really had like another, man in my life to talk about certain things, especially now that I'm older and my father's gone. I don't have that, that male role model in my life necessarily to be able to talk to things about, with them. So DJ's been a big help, and I know he knows that because I let him know all the time. Yeah.
Same.
Shout out everyone that's watching too. I hope I gave you some motivation, different perspective on things as far as, sports, school, family, trauma, whatever it may be.
Yeah, man. No, this is definitely gonna help. You're actually so far the youngest guest I've had on here, which is which is sweet. No, dude. So the goal with these is I want to get people of different ages. You know, obviously more females on there. You know, white people, black people, Hispanic, Asians, people of different backgrounds, all sorts of things, because I understand that I am one person. And there's certain people that I just won't reach that you're going to reach. You know what I'm saying? You might speak more of the language that they adhere to. So with that being said, guys, this was amazing. So glad to have.
Real quick, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
If you are like looking for any type of people, I definitely have family, friends, cousins, whatever it may be, that definitely have some wild backgrounds and wild stories and things that a lot of people might not go through, or you might not know people that go through those certain things. So I could.
Dude, I want them all. Listen, anyone who's watching this and anyone who wants to put a comment on stuff you've been through, guys, I'm not looking for people that have lived a clean-cut life and have done everything perfect. You done prison time and are reformed, I want you on here. You were addicted to drugs and been reformed, I want you on here. You struggle with anxiety, depression, all that stuff, and you're battling through it. I want the warriors. I want the people that are battling stuff, the people that have went through something, because in this world, guys, nobody's unscathed. So the thing is, man, if you were a former prostitute and got out of that lifestyle, I want you on here. Gangbanger, and got out of that lifestyle, I want you out here, because there's somebody right now in your position in that world of darkness, whatever it may be. No judgment, but they need to hear that there's another way. Maybe the way out is football. You stop gangbanging because you play football. Maybe the way out is work. Maybe the way out is attending a church. Maybe the way out is talking to a therapist. I don't know what that is, but the reason I made these Motivation Mondays and the goal is going to always stay the same. No matter how big or small this gets, if it can inspire one single person,
That's all it takes.
then I have done my job. And this is why I have amazing people like Anthony Montez on here. Don't be afraid to comment, like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I started this YouTube channel last year, had 0 subscribers. It has 243 now, which is pretty cool.
Sir.
Pretty cool. It's growing small. I still I feel like I'm just above the level of suck when it comes to editing and all this stuff. There's not really elegance. Thumbnails aren't elegant. I don't really edit these clips at all. I edit the beginning and the end just to cut it off. But guys, I just want people on here who will keep it real. Spill their guts out, share what they're comfortable to share. I'm never going to have a guest on here and pressure them to share something that they're not comfortable sharing. The only thing I go based off of is just tell the truth. Tell the truth, because the thing is, I'm not going to look down on you. I'm not going to have a superiority complex and because I just don't have any right to. So, Anthony, I appreciate you. Love you, bro.
Yes, sir. Love you
Thanks
too.
for coming on here. We're going to do this again for sure.
For sure, man. Wherever, whenever, man.
All right,
Just let me
brother.
know.
Much love, man.
Yes, sir. Love you.